What's up guys, PinguKevin here. Today we're gonna bring you a new support guide. After Nautilus in the first video, we're gonna talk to you about Leona. Leona is my favorite champion in the current meta and she fits basically against any support. So if you want to know how I play Leona, please stick around and you will get your information. So, like last time, we're just gonna start up with our runes. Since Leona is also an engaged champion, Aftershock will be the default go-to pick. Here you can choose depending on your lane matchup. If you want to push the lane, if you're gonna push the lane, if you will have priority, you can take Demolish to push their tower even faster. If you are afraid you get pushed in, Fond of Life might be much more useful. I'm thinking Fond of Life usually. It all depends on the lane matchup. You can switch around these two. Fond of Life is always a good option as well. Right here, since I usually play aggressive as well, and to avoid some poke damage, Bone Plating is actually a pretty good rune as well. After that, since you're the main engage and you want to be peeling your AD carry as much as you can, Unflinching is the go-to pick. You don't have heals and Overgrowth is just not that ideal. So Unflinching it is. Yes. For secondary tree, we're going back into the inspiration tree. Leona has a lot of cooldown on her abilities. So she wastes a lot of mana, or she can waste a lot of mana. So biscuits are definitely a must-have, in my opinion. Then usually you go Hex Flash to make some easier picks when your flash is on cooldown. Otherwise, you take Cosmic Insight, which is a good go-to pick as well. For the small runes, you go some ability haste, you go some armor and some HP as default. If you're up against a lot of magic resist, if you're up against a lot of armor, you can switch this to armor or magic resist. Yet again, these three small ones are actually based on your lane opponent, based on the enemy team, what they have, how they're up against, and all that kind of stuff. So we're here in the shop again. As mentioned before in the Nautilus video, the shop is made very easy. If you go to recommended, you have the most commonly built items, you have your suggested starting items, but we're not going to use that. I'm just going to use the popular one. The popular one is actually a much cleaner overview. Recommended is always good, but popular is, in my opinion, better. So for starter item, I'm gonna take the shoulder guards that give me some AD bonus. The reason I take those is because as Leona you have a lot of auto attack resets, so it is much better to actually use those instead of the AP one. So you buy 2 pots to start with and you get yourself the normal ward. We're gonna remove those because that is not what matters at this point. So mainly these 3 options for mythic items are the best indeed. What I would go for is, as always, on every tanky support, even though you're kind of engaged, you go for Locket of the Iron Solari. It peels your AD carry, it is just very easy to play with. Then again, actually the build is kind of the same as for Nautilus, but we're gonna go over it anyways, because it is what it is. It's a new video, it's a new champion, and there we go. So for this, your boots always situational. As you can see, you can buy 4 types of boots. If you're a heavy roamer, mobility boots always, mobility boots or swiftness are always good options. If you're stuck in your lane, or if enemies have a lot of CC, Mercury threats, a lot of AD, some steel caps, always very good. Then for your legendary items, Zeke's Convergence is always a good item. It doesn't only proc on attacks, but it also procs on abilities. So even if your AD carry is not fat, you can always use it on a mid laner or a jungler that is fat, and he will do more damage because of that. So Zeke's Convergence is always my go-to first item, or like second item after my mythic and boots. And after that, it's all situational again. Magic damage, you can go for an Abyssal Mask because it also does more damage if you CC them. Renduin's Omen, Thornmail if they have some more AD damage. If you want to survive a little bit longer, Stoneplate is always welcome. But most of the times, these three items, Zeke's Convergence, Abyssal Mask, Renduin's are usually your go-to picks because they actually do something for your team, and you will not be you're not supposed to be a tank, you're supposed to be helpful for your team while being tanky as well, of course. But yeah, so what matchups would you pick Leona into? I will give you my answer. Leona has a lot, and I mean a lot, of CC, so immobile champions are very weak against her. If you have an enemy AD carry like a Jinx or an Ashe, they will not be able to dodge your ultimate if you can aim it well, unless they use their flash or they have Morgana with them. So those immobile champions are actually very easy to lock down and to dive on as Leona. Other champions she's good against are basically the lower range AD carries like Vayne, Kai'Sa, Samira. So those are the AD carries she's good against. I would not pick a Leona into a Caitlyn because she outranges Leona pretty hard. And when you want to throw your E, Caitlyn will throw her E as well, and she will be dodging it very easily. Support wise, you can pick Leona into other tank supports like a Thresh or a Nautilus, but not against the very long range poke supports like a Zyra or a Nico or a Xerath, because they will just avoid your CC by just out poking you, so you, by the time you reach them, you're actually already dead. So those are the lanes that I would avoid playing against, because as well, if you play against a Zyra or Nico, when you engage, they just engage on your AD carry, and your AD carry dies, or he can follow because of the Zyra ultimate and all that kind of stuff. So try to play Leona into the shorter range poke champions, like for example a Lux is not that long range with her Q, and she's pretty easy to lock down. Also, if you play against a Thresh or a Nautilus, you're actually stronger than them. If a Nautilus decides to engage on you, same for a Thresh, you can easily turn because you have your W to negate some damage, and by the time they engage, their aftershock is gone. As a main support player, and a main support player with a lot of tank CC supports in his champion pool, Morgana is my main ban. I just never play against Morgana because I ban her 100% of the games. But if you end up playing Leona into a Morgana, just try to engage on one target, force Morgana's Black Shield on the target you engage on, and then just turn on the other target with your Q and potentially ultimate. So for Leona, there are two things you need to know. One of them is that your Q is actually an auto attack reset, so you can do your Q and a basic attack which does some damage, right? But that's not what we want to have, because if you do Q, basic attack, it takes some time to do 3 basic attacks because your Q is actually a basic attack enhancement. So what you do if you want to play Leona and maximizes your damage output, you do basic attack, Q, basic attack, because that gives you your 3 basic attacks faster than when you do Q, basic attack, basic attack. As you would have seen, if you do this, you get it so much faster. So if you think about the combo then, when you engage, just make sure you do a normal basic attack first, then stun, and then actually do your next basic attack. So you do much more damage, you give your AD carry some time to follow up, because your stun will be a little bit slower, and that's how you can potentially kill your targets faster. So When you want to play Leona, you want to think about using your W before you engage. The reason why you want to do it is because it takes a whole 3 seconds to actually explode. So basically, if you use your E and then start using your W, it takes a pretty long time before your W explodes. Meanwhile, when you do it before you use your E, the W explodes faster and you do more damage in less time. So it is always good to have that. So guys, that was it for this video. I hope you liked it, and if you have any more questions, please feel free to drop them down below in the comments. If you liked what you see, you want to see more of this channel, please feel free to subscribe, link the notification bell on, and then I will see you next time.